Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Springfield Township Board of Trustees meeting. It is Tuesday, October 9th, 2018 at approximately 5:30 p.m. Mr. Burning, may we please have the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Honolaw. Mr. Burning?
Present.
Ms. McFarland?
Present.
Mr. Honolaw?
Present.
All the trustees are present.
Next, if everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first thing that we have this evening is a special presentation. We have the recognition of community impact, and we have Mr. Gary Miller here, and we are looking forward to presenting you with a plaque, and this regards your induction in the Ohio Senior Citizens Hall of Fame. And I think, Chief, you have a few words, correct?
I do, yes, and it is an honor to be able to be part of Mr. Miller's recognition tonight. When others run from trouble, you'll find Gary Miller running towards it. For more than 40 years, Gary has devoted his career and talents to helping people and communities prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters, both natural and man-made. Mr. Miller is a certified emergency manager and was one of 7 individuals in the United States identified by the American Red Cross to serve as the Senior Red Cross Director for Major Disaster Operations. He was an Administrative Director of the American Red Cross Critical Response Team, which represents Red Cross at the Homeland Security Emergency Operations Center in Washington, and responds to terrorism incidents and aircraft crashes. He has served as the Senior Red Cross official on more than 30 major disaster operations, including Job Director of the American Red Cross September 11 World Trade Center Terrorist Attack Relief Operation in New York, Director of the Multiple Hurricane Relief Operation in Florida, and Deputy Director of Hurricane Katrina Relief for Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. He also was part of the $58 million Red Cross relief operation in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean after Hurricane Hugo in 1989 and the 1997 Ohio River flooding. Mr. Miller retired from his full-time employment at the American Red Cross in 2007, but continues as a volunteer assisting the local and national Red Cross through major disasters planning and advising. He was the chairman of trustees at his church and is a current elder. He also serves as a board member on the Cincinnati Fire Museum, Cincinnati FBI Citizen Academy, and the Greater Cincinnati Hazardous Materials Team, and is a member of the Greater Cincinnati Airport Disaster Committee. Mr. Miller received the Red Cross Cincinnati Area Chapter and National Headquarters Tiffany Award for Employee Excellence in 1989, as well as the National Headquarter Red Cross Partnership Award. April 27, 2007, was proclaimed the Gary Miller Day in Cincinnati, and he received the key to the city as a special ceremony. He is a recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Loveland Sims Fire Department, the National Headquarters Red Cross Vice President's Award for Employee Excellence, and was recently inducted into the Ohio Senior Citizens Hall of Fame. Tonight, in his hometown of Springfield Township, we recognize and thank Gary Miller for the profound impact he has made throughout the country. Mr. Gary Miller.
Gary, if you would come up, we have a plaque for you here. Mr. Miller, on behalf of the Springfield Township Board of Trustees, would like to present you with this plaque, this recognition of community impact and service. All your accomplishments are just as unbelievable. It's outstanding, all the things that you've done for really the nation, the greater Cincinnati area, the region. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda this evening, we have approval of minutes from our regular session on September 11th, 2018, and our regular work session on September 25th, 2018. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as drafted?
So moved.
Second it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have our fiscal officer's report. Mr. Burning.
Yes. For the month ending September 30th, 2018, the township expenditures were $1,513,536.40. The receipts were $1,329,618.91. The ending cash balance of $23,665,181.41 includes obligations for expenditures, payroll, regular operating costs, ongoing capital improvement projects, and investments. I do request a motion to approve receipts, warrants, payroll expenditures, update, and current revenue reports for the period ending September 30th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and I just want everyone to know that financial reports are available at the administrative offices weekdays during regular business hours and on our website 24/7 if you want to look at them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burning. Next, moving on to departmental action discussion items. Mr. Gilbert, do you have a report for us?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Honerlaw. Just two really quick action items this evening. The first being, it's that season, obviously the beginning of October, and we are being requested to set the date and time for Halloween trick-or-treating as customary. Our proposal is Wednesday, October 31st, the day of Halloween, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And if that is okay with the board, I would seek a motion to set that date and time for trick-or-treating in Springfield Township.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
As in years past, if the weather is bad, we are not saying you have to send your kid out at that time. That is totally up to you as parents. We've had situations in the past where people felt like they were obligated to send their kids out because that's what we established Halloween to be. That is not the case. The last action item I have would be, as we've done in previous years, in I guess being good neighbors with our city to our west, City of Mount Healthy, and due to their issues with storing road salt, we every year enter an agreement with them to allow them to purchase road salt from us at a rate that it would cost us to replace it. So essentially, we are not losing anything by selling them the salt. However, it allows them to access salt here that we have the ability to store, and they don't use very much. I think it's, what is it?
250 tons.
Yeah, I was going to say it's 2 to 250 tons maximum. So if the board is okay with the agreement, it's the same exact agreement we've used the past 4 or 5 years. I would seek a motion to authorize the administrator to sign the agreement with Mount Healthy to allow them to purchase salt.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I hate to think about that. I'm just sitting here like, no, 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 I don't want to think
It's
about
hard to think about it when it's 90 degrees in
I
October,
know.
but it will change, and unfortunately, it's going to change here in about 3 days, apparently, so we'll see.
I believe it when I see it.
You and I both. A few discussion items this evening. The first being Habitat for Humanity is conducting an event in one of our neighborhoods this Saturday from 9 to 3:30. It's called Rock the Block in West College Hill. It's something they've done in other neighborhoods in the previous years. In conjunction with their very, I guess, significant effort to build and rebuild homes in the West College Hill neighborhood, they are looking to get between 200 and 300 volunteers to show up for that 6.5 hours this Saturday to do a full-scale sort of rehabilitation of the neighborhood, cleaning up yards, houses, right-of-ways. Individuals in that neighborhood that currently have homes there were able to apply to have their home repaired or cleaned up as part of this event. So I think they have about 70 slots left of the 300 they were looking for. So if you're interested in volunteering in this very worthwhile effort, I would suggest you can go to our website, and we have a link there that will allow you to sign up, or you can go directly to Habitat for Humanity's website and sign up there. But we'll have some township employees out there, and obviously some of the board will be there, so hopefully the event will do a great deal for that neighborhood, which I think they're expecting it to. So.
And I hope the weather, it's not supposed to rain, is it?
It's not supposed to rain. It's supposed to be a high of about 60 degrees and sunny, so perfect weather to be working outside.
Because that community has been getting ready for the Rock the Block.
Well, I don't think they could draw up any better weather than what they're predicting right now.
That's good to hear.
That's great.
I guess next on the agenda for discussion items, it is apparently National Fire Prevention Month. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Leininger and explain to us exactly what that is and how we can all participate.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. It is National Fire Prevention Month, although we promote fire safety throughout the year. During the month of October, we really focus and put a lot of efforts into education. Firefighters will visit just about every elementary school in the township, and really to educate them and for them to interact with the firefighters, teach them about fire safety in the home, accident prevention, and also severe weather preparedness as well. So just wanted to let everybody know that if they have elementary school children, they will probably come home with a coloring book, or they'll be talking about smoke detectors or something like that, because it's an additional topic during their curriculum during the month of October. So we did not have the open house this year, but we do plan to have our biannual open house, Fire Prevention Month open house, in 2019. So something to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Did you have any children in the class? You know how you have the young kids in the class to learn about fire prevention?
You know, we had the Kids Fire Academy
Kids Fire
this
Academy,
year. Yes,
right.
and we had 20 graduates.
Wow.
And they are our stewards and ambassadors. They help us with the message and actually help us teach children throughout the community. And they do a great job. I mean, it's wonderful to see them. They really get engaged. So it's a very successful program. Thank
So
you.
when is the next sign up for the next program?
We'll start taking, well, it will be offered in 2019 during
Okay.
the summer months. And during the spring of 2019, it'll be advertised to sign up.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Chief. Speaking of Fire Prevention Month, and obviously one way to prevent some damage from fire and health issues associated with fire is to call 911. Unfortunately, due to some budget issues that the county is experiencing, they are considering a proposal that would increase the comm center fees of about $5 per dispatch. So what does that mean for Springfield Township? Right now, we budget almost $300,000 a year due to the 20,000 calls that police receives, and about the 2,100 calls that fire receives. We budget close to $40,000 for that. So when you look at them basically increasing the cost of dispatch fees by a third, you're looking at an additional $100,000 for police and another roughly $10,000 a year for fire. That's a significant increase. And additionally, beyond the cost increase, they're also talking about cutting some of the services and some of the personnel within the comm center. So they're increasing the fees, lowering the delivery of service, and it's just not a good combination for local governments in the county. And I understand that Hamilton County is experiencing, what, a $28 million budget deficit, and I understand they're looking to make cuts and raise revenue wherever they can, but this is, essentially a tax shift on the local governments by increasing the comm center fees, and it's going to be a significant hardship for us, especially when we're trying everything we can do to stretch levy dollars here at the local level to get basically a 33% increase in fees, especially when they're already $15 per call. And I don't think residents realize that. Every time a resident calls 911 and has either police or fire dispatched to their house, it costs Springfield Township $15. And it adds up quickly, as the numbers have indicated. And I know both Chief Leininger and Chief Browder, we've talked about this before, are respective presidents of their chiefs associations in the county, and undoubtedly they will be taking some stand regarding this proposal, and I'm sure this sentiment and this issue is shared amongst all local governments across the county.
Right. Several months ago, we both did attend a commissioners meeting. We just to give them a picture of what that looks like on local government. For instance, with our potential increases being $5 per dispatch, that's $100,000. That's 4 police cars that we may need to replace. So, I mean, I think the board's well aware that, some of our highest operational costs outside of personnel are always gasoline, which again is going up and up, and the comm center fee. So, the potential, I've heard anywhere from $2 to $5, but $5 would definitely make an impact on us on a local level that obviously we're going to have to pull from somewhere else. So I know we're both working hard with our associations, and appreciate the public support that this is quite a problem for us that coming into this budget season with the county. So
when we get dispatched to an emergency, you get both police, fire, and often EMS all together. So multiply that expense. So when a police car pulls up in front, you got a fire truck and an EMS, $15 times 3, and now they want to bump it up to $20. I see this as more of a matter of priorities. The Hamilton County Commissioners, need to understand the importance of that communication center. It is a very, very valuable asset to all of us. It's for our safety, it's for the service that we provide. And police and fire get the recognition, but there is somebody at that dispatch center that's taking the call and initiates our action based on their ability to dispatch us. And what I'm concerned with, and not only just the cost, but they're talking about also reducing the amount of dispatchers and also reducing any infrastructure investment, meaning investment in technologies, which would give us greater capability when it comes to communication technologies. And I think it's a matter of priorities. You can't, they need to prioritize the communication center and the safety services in Hamilton County. And I'm very concerned.
I thought that they were discussing not letting go of the communication dispatchers, but adding to those numbers after the most recent incident that happened. And now
That's
you
the
say,
city of Cincinnati.
oh, that's the city. So okay.
that is true, but with the Hamilton County Communication Center, again, we've had a lot of conversations with the commissioners as well as the director of the comm center, and they've been through 60 people in the last year between hiring, retiring, things like that. And one thing that has been coming along is their ability to pay good wages to get great people there. So their turnover rate has just been phenomenal. Terrible in the last year. So we're kind of battling with that too. And I know there's been And I understand that, when someone's in training, things can happen. But if something like that happens in our line of work, somebody could die. So, it's, again, concerning that there's a potential that they could have even less personnel there than they currently have, so.
Yeah, Ms. McFarland brought up a good point. People don't realize that there are 2 dispatch centers in the greater Cincinnati area. The city of Cincinnati, which is the Cincinnati Police Department, Cincinnati Fire Department, and EMS, they have their own dispatch center. The fire departments, police departments that operate in the suburb of Cincinnati, which is our Hamilton County departments, we use the Hamilton County Communication Center, which is located on Hamilton Avenue at Waycross. And so they're 2 distinct operations. There is some parity that they share and some redundancy, but basically they're 2 independent dispatch centers. And so when we're focusing on the monies and the capabilities of those comm centers, it's Hamilton County, and that's under the direct leadership and funding by the Hamilton County Commissioners.
That's very concerning.
You answered one of the questions I had, that if all 3 of our services, we get charged for each one. What if we get 5 911 calls for the same incident? There was a car accident and 5 neighbors called. Do we get charged for each call or just for each
Just
dispatch?
the dispatch.
Okay,
Just
that was my
the
question.
dispatch, yes.
Okay.
So I guess we bring this up just that the commissioners haven't actually voted and recommend or put this forward, but it is being discussed, and I think it's important for residents to understand, 1, what the service actually costs, and 2, what we as a local government are facing. Just because the county's having budget issues doesn't mean we're immune to the effects here in the local level. So I think it's important for residents to understand that. Obviously, we're working and being advocates of our residents with the county commissioners. However, if you find it appropriate and you have the time to write them a letter and let them know that you're concerned about this issue, then please do so. But we thought it was important for residents to understand kind of what's going on. So.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Gilbert.
think that's a great learning opportunity, and I think your comment, Chris, because sometimes people, I think, don't realize that we do work with the city and the county and the city folks. We have to work together in a partnership, and a lot of people think that we are out in our own silo when we are not. The services impact on all of us at some point.
Especially when it comes to the county, because just by our statute, we're intergovernmental collaborations by the Higher Vice Code. We're required to. So the county's issues are our issues at some level. So speaking of different costs and things, the gas aggregation program, and I know Mr. Browder talked about the gas costs going up. This is natural gas, and I'm pleased to say that our natural gas aggregation program, we have locked in a flex down rate for the winter months that's about 7% less than it was last year. So our gas provider constellation and with our broker energy alliances, they've done a fantastic job of going out to the market and finding some gas supply that will allow us to reduce gas costs for our residents this winter beyond what they were last year, which is not an easy thing to do in these times, find something that's actually going to be less than it was last year, but we've seemed to do that. So, and I think residents will reap the benefits of that.
And I'm sure we're going to have that on our website.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the personnel update, fairly light agenda here this evening. We have a resignation in the fire department of Brandon Manor as a part-time medic firefighter. His last date of service was the 31st of August. We have the promotion of Jeff Haber to a full-time medic firefighter. His date of promotion was September 16th. In the Public Works Department, we had the resignation of part-time laborer Tom Merkel. His date of separation was September 14th. And then we had the resignation in the Senior Community Center for Holly Williams as a building monitor, and that date of separation was September 22nd. And on behalf of Ms. Flam, who unfortunately is out this evening not feeling well, looking at the community events and programs, this Friday night we have October 12th at the Finneytown Performing Arts Center. We have the Kamikaze Fireflies, which I believe is a group or an act that was featured on America's Got Talent at some point. If you're interested, tickets are still available for that. We've already talked about Rock the Block, and then looking later in this month, October 26th, we have Playhouse in the Park here at the Grove. putting on a performance of Jungle Book at 7 p.m. The mural dedication on Brentwood Bowl will take place at 3:30 p.m. on October 30th. The Art Local event will take place on November 9th and 10th. I believe that's at the Centennial Barn again.
It is.
And then December 1st, we will have Winterfest here at our Civic Complex, and that will be from 1 to 7 with a parade starting at 3 p.m. And that concludes the activity report for community events and programs. And the board has copies of all the departmental activity reports. And unless there are any questions of those, that concludes my report. I will, though, however, need an executive session at the end of this meeting for the purpose of preparing for bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Next, moving on to resolutions this evening, we have resolution number 89, 2018, establishing assessment for abatement of nuisance and certifying same to the Hamilton County Auditor. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second it.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Ms. McFarland.
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have resolution number 90, 2018, declaring motor vehicles located on public or private property in Springfield Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, to be junk motor vehicles pursuant to Revised Code 505.173, and ordering the removal of such vehicles pursuant to resolution number 80, 2018, and Revised Code 505.871. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second it.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Ms. McFarland.
Aye.
Mr. Honalaw.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have old business. Do we have any old business this evening?
I do not.
I have none.
The only thing I would say is that the lawsuit filed by the county commissioners and joined by almost all the townships, I think all but one township in Hamilton County, against the city of Cincinnati over water rates is going on. I had hoped to try and get an update on that today, and I wasn't able to. I don't know, Laura, if you have any updates. I knew they were in court Monday for additional testimony in front of Judge Ruhlman. And I did see where the city is fighting some subpoenas that were issued to city officials to force them to come to court and testify.
My understanding as of today, just exactly what you said, they've been in, there's been hearings, they've had individuals, witnesses that they've, spoken with, but that's about where they are right now.
So we'll be watching that. That is an important piece of litigation. We hope that can be resolved favorably for the county and the townships, the unincorporated areas. Otherwise, the city of Cincinnati now, not the county, is trying to substantially increase our water rates.
About 15%.
Yeah.
A little less than 15%.
Yeah.
And
Just for township.
in my discussion, one of the things I felt really good about is Hamilton County Commissioner Denise Driehaus. She is fighting hard to hold all the townships harmless as they go through all of this discussions and litigation and everything. So I felt comfortable in knowing that she is there. And, she was from a township as well. But still, I think that we've got one person I know for sure, and probably two, that's supporting the townships and wanting to hold us harmless.
Very good. Thank you, Quinn. Do we have any new business before the board this evening?
I do not.
I have none.
Then we now come to citizens' participation. If there's anyone here this evening that would like to address the board, please come forward, state your name and address, and appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Judith Boyce, 7055 Mulberry Street. I actually am here about the water rate increase because my neighbors have been asking me about it and asked me to find out what I could, because people are concerned that's a large increase of water. And it already went from the 3 months billing to the 1 month billing. The water rates have already gone up, so we're just wondering how much more they're going to go up. It's very concerning. And also that we cannot vote for city council, City of Cincinnati Council. How can they do something that affects us since we can't vote for them?
Well, so it's their water system. It's the Cincinnati Water Works. They own it. They have excess capacity, which they sell not only to the unincorporated areas of Hamilton County, the townships, but also to many municipalities and villages. They also sell water to, I believe it's Ward and Claremont County. In fact, I knew they do. And there was an agreement that was reached in court many years ago, 20 plus years ago, that was due to expire. And due to the way some of the rates were set, and there was an adder put on our rate a number of years ago, which had to do with the water lines being extended out towards the Fernald area, where they were having radioactive contamination in groundwater. And they said we have to bring lines out here to cover those things. There was an increase in an added amount that was added to all the water rates in the unincorporated areas. And for reasons I don't totally know, when this contract came up, there was an opportunity for the county to have signed to extend it, but because of that adder, they felt that they were prevented in doing so. But the agreement called for there to be a task force, and a task force was to be between the city, the county, the unincorporated areas, and they were supposed to determine what was going to be what was the cost of service of water to the unincorporated areas. And our belief is the city realized that the data was going to show that the rate for them, the true cost for them to service the unincorporated areas was less than the current rate. And so after participating in the task force for a very short time, the city pulled out and said, we're not going to come to the meetings, we're not going to participate. And instead, the mayor just announced this is what the new rate's going to be. And I was in court along with Laura, 2 weeks ago, Laura, or so? Maybe 3, at the first hearing, and they had a expert on municipal water systems an economist come from Chicago, and he gave a presentation and showed how and Laura, if I'm getting any of this wrong, you tell me, but his testimony, or at least what I thought was persuasive, is the city residents pay less than us. And you can say, okay, it's their system, they get a break, but they're paying as though there's a 1.9% return on their investment if you take their whole system. They're looking for us to pay a 10% return on investment. And according to this expert, those numbers are just, way out of whack for, municipal finance. It was, the numbers are just, they're not fair. They're not in keeping with the original task force and the terms of the original agreement. So that's what the lawsuit's about. The city's perspective is that original agreement said that the recommendations of the task force was non-binding, so they don't care what the task force was going to do. They were going to do whatever they wanted, and that's where we are right now. So.
And what the county wants is to look at that, putting that task force back together, because the task force consisted of the same number of individuals representing the city as those representing the county. The other thing is when you look at the number of residents that are served in the city, they're compatible pretty much to what we serve in the townships, something like around 300,000 residents or something like that. So when you look at the numbers, it just doesn't make sense. So all the county is requesting is that they pulled a task force together, and that task force, I think it was created in 1987, pull that task force back together as it had been and let them go in and do an assessment and determine from a fair and equitable way what type of fee scale should be established, and also look at the methodology that they've been using, that the city is using to determine how they got to the 1.43.
Oh, great, that's really good, thank you.
Well, just so you know, the maddening thing is, they're only doing it to townships, not cities and villages, which is, I mean, how you can claim that's fair when there's cities that are past us that go through our pipeline to get the water to them, and the fact that we pay 33% more now than the city residents, and they want to make it 51% more than the city residents. So, I mean, it's totally unfair to say, okay, we're going to decide to tax the townships. Cities and villages we won't touch, but we're going to give it to the townships.
Yeah, people are concerned and people are watching, so I really appreciate this. You're fighting for us because it does seem unfair, but it's hard to figure out, you know,
They won't give us the data because they know what the data is going to show, that their claim is not true. And that's why they left the task force, I believe, is because they wanted to see the data, and they said, we're not showing you the data, we don't have it, we don't know where it is. Then how can you come up with a number to raise it?
Well, thanks. I appreciate you fighting it for us on our behalf.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Robin.
I won't be long, it's NCIS night.
There you go.
Robin Hendley, 6341 Ridgefield Drive. Two things, I put my Civic Association hat on. This Sunday at 7, back in the Senior Community Center, will be our annual Meet the Candidates night. It'll be at 7 o'clock. So far, we've invited the commissioners and the auditor competitors, District 33 representatives, and representatives running for District 2, Ohio Congressional District. We don't know yet. I wasn't able to get a hold of Chris Offrey. He's the one that takes the head count, so I'm not sure who's going to show, but if they don't, that's on them. The opportunity for them to speak and present their views and why they should be elected is up to them. We'll have the typical issues table. There'll be ballot language there for anyone to look at. Hopefully some pro and cons of the state issue, which is being drummed as the drug amendment. And then Children's Services has a levy on for an increase, and Great Oaks has a renewal levy for their service area. I believe that's going to be a county-wide. So I have an information table set up and hopefully some literature for anyone that's interested in taking that with them. You don't have to be a member to be there. We'd like to have a packed house, so you're welcome to join us. Second item, I talked to Chris and a couple of other people. I've been doing a little running as I go around Finneytown. I take different routes all the time, and that's kind of how I've been covering the what I was doing in the neighborhoods, and it's actually things are pretty good. Chris hasn't gotten a report from me in some time about too many properties seeming to be out of line. I've been holding off on the grass because usually when it stops raining, most people were getting out there and mowing, so I didn't get into that too much this year. The thing I've been following are the grass parkers. And I've got 3 houses on my street, and I've been keeping track of when they're parking on the grass, literally in the yards. Now, these are houses that have driveways, there's empty places on the street, and they're parking right in front of their front doors, and it looks like crap. Hempstead's the winner. They have 24 houses on Hempstead from Winton Road down to Daly. They are constantly either parking in front of their front doors, or they're coming up, encroaching on the new curbs, and then you've got half the car or half the truck on the curb, and it's going to break those curbs down. I would encourage you to really look at this. There's got to be a way to amend the zoning regulations to make it illegal to do that. Colerain Township is doing it, and as I understand it, it's $130 a pop every time that you violate it. I really think if you enforce it, it'll stop, because this is really a broken window thing. If it continues to get out of control, we're going to start looking like some of the areas in the city that no one would want to drive through, much less live there. It really makes the areas in the neighborhoods look bad. So I would hope that you would be willing to do that. If you need help policing it, keeping tracks of more areas where they're doing the parking, I'll be glad to go out and do the riding. There are some other areas I've noticed scattering, a few on Winton, not too many. There's been a couple up in Parkview Heights, again, not too many and not too steady. It seems to be the bulk of it is going to be on Hempstead, starting on my street, and some of the areas in the Greenfield subdivision I'm noticing more and more. So, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Robin? Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening? With that, then, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting and to move into an executive session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining issues?
So moved.
Second it?
All those in favor?
That's a roll call, actually.
Roll call. Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Mr. Harnloff?
Aye.
We're going into executive.